Hello fellow humans and welcome to the 9.1 video, and today I want to talk about the Object on 40 because first of all this is my most played tank, and this is one of those tanks that just aren't really a thing anymore. If you remember, I don't know, back in the day, 2016, 2017, this thing was the prime tier 10 medium tank. Every single tournament that at the beginning was IS7s and Object 140s. Now, unfortunately, that is not the case anymore, and this tank has sort of gotten into a corner where wherever you balance it, there is always going to be a better option. Now, what they have done in 9.1 is they have increased the engine power by quite a lot to 700 horsepower from 580, and given that these vehicles already have an insanely good ground resistance, then that is very good for this vehicle's mobility. However, what they did as well is in the armor, they ruined the armor essentially and made it disappear, basically. The low glass plate is now less thick. I mean, you can pen that anyway. That doesn't matter. That doesn't make a change. The third frontal armor was changed from 240 to 225, and the side from 170 to 120. And generally, all the third armor has been completely and utterly destroyed. So you're going to be able to pen this vehicle a lot easier, which is not great, because at this point, if you can pen this thing everywhere, why would you play it at that point? You can get a Leopard, you can get an E50M, you can even get a Patton of a 4202 that are gonna have a better performance because they have higher alpha damage, because they have the same DPM, because they have armor, and also they have gun depression more than this one has, as this one only has 6. So, the problem with this vehicle is essentially not that it's miserable, because it really isn't. The problem with this vehicle is that no matter what they have changed since the first time they nerfed it, it has never been worth it anymore. It has never been in a position where this is a vehicle that is actually worth getting, because the Leopard, if you want a paper tank, this vehicle is faster, has a better gun. If you want something more armor, the E50M doesn't have the DPM, but it has the armor, it still has the mobility. So that's the kind of the problem these Russian mediums are in right now. They're kind of, no matter where you look, to which side, you've always find something better. So, let's play it. Let's see, even despite that, whether it still might be worth getting or not. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. So now, what do you think about the Object 140? Is it better, and why is it worse? So, this vehicle has got nerfed. Again, unfortunately. The problem with this tank is that it already before had disadvantages, right? It has less alpha damage than most tier 10 medium tanks. It has less gun depression than most tier 10 medium tanks. The third armor already isn't great. It never was good in the first place because they, again, had nerfed it before. Now they nerfed it even harder. So that's funny. Now, basically, you have a vehicle that has no place. That has, no matter what you do, there is always a better option. Because if you nerf the armor and you buff the mobility, you make the tank more hard to play, because obviously the less armor you have, the more careful you have to be in peeking, because the easier it is to pen you, the easier you are to be damaged, and all those kind of things. Now, yes, you have 10 meters more view range, but that doesn't matter. So, yeah, I'm very saddened by the fact that our team is very incompetent, and if I stay out there, I just die. Those two guys, they should have run. They should run, but can't help them, unfortunately. The problem is now, there is no place for this vehicle. No matter what you do, no matter what playstyle you have, there is always a better option. Every time, there is a better option. You want to play fast and mobile, Leopard. You want to play slower and have armor, E50M. You want to play more eccentric, FE4202. You want to play, I don't know, regular hold-down, M40 Patton. This thing can't do any of those. It's a brawler, yes, but it's a brawler that has no armor. It's a brawler that isn't essentially equipped for it, because that's what made it so strong at the beginning, that you could just brawl an IS7 and absolutely fuck it up. You can't do that now. Now, if they would have changed the mobility, if they would have buffed the mobility, you know, give it more engine power, but keep the armor the same, it would have been excellent. That would have exactly been what this vehicle needed, right? Then it would have had a place. It's like that fast accelerating, brawling, with armor monster again that it used to be. Bring it back to what it was. You know, that brawling monster, basically. That's what it's good at. Because it has nothing else. It doesn't have the alpha damage. It doesn't have the armor. It doesn't have the gun depression to play like a lot of the other tier 10 mediums. It doesn't have that. It already has those disadvantages. Why would you give it less armor as well? Why would you give it that disadvantage? Now to compare it to the Leopard. Less DPM, less alpha damage, less mobility, less gun depression, and less accuracy. What's the point? What is the point of ever getting this vehicle now? When it has essentially only disadvantages for very few upsides. If you buff the mobility and keep the armor as it was, it would have been great, but Wargaming, I guess, in their 7th attempt to make this thing irrelevant again after nerfing it the first time, have nerfed it again, because they love doing that apparently. So, I don't understand the idea behind this change, because you make it harder to play. When you change it like this, it is being made harder to play. Obviously, less armor means easier to pen, which means you have to be more careful in how you play it. Camping in this tank is a bad idea in the first place, so I'm coming with that. So, they've robbed it of its soul and packed it as a rebalancement again, unfortunately. That's my opinion on it. The problem is that it has even a less of a place than before. Disadvantage after disadvantage after disadvantage compared to most of the other tier 10 units. Even though the 628, the 628 still has turret armor, has a degree of gun depression more, so you can play that more, you know, usefully, basically. So, what is the place of this tank? It's basically the Leopard's bitch now. That's all it is. So, it's basically, if you hate the idea of having one of the best high-skill tanks in the game, you get this piece of tank, basically. It's all they had to do is increase the mobility and leave the armor as it was. Would have been perfectly fine. It wouldn't have made it OP because it has so many disadvantages. Has so many damn disadvantages. The alpha damage, the gun depression, even the DPM to some of them. Like, what is this tank supposed to be now? Tell me. What is it? What is this vehicle's role besides being a walking, talking disadvantage? What's its role? Is it a brawler? It has no armor. It can't defend itself. No. That's not it. Is it a hold-down tank? No, it has no turret armor. It can't do that. Is it a sniper? It's a medium tank with high mobility. It's definitely not designed for that. What is it? Is it a turret? Yeah. That's the role it has, basically. It's a hit point magnet for the enemy team, and they're going to have a great time with it, essentially. And that is sad. So let's see if we can go for the FV over there. That is very, very sad, because no matter where you look in tier 10 right now, in terms of mediums, you're always going to find a better vehicle. No matter where you look, you always find a better vehicle than this one. Except if you look at the 30B, but that's the MX-30B, so let's not talk about that. And that is just sad. That is very sad, in my eyes. But they had to just essentially nerf it again. It was already bad, compared to all the others. Why would you nerf it again? Because what this now means, it's even harder to play. You know, it gets easier penned, it's faster, you need more skill to play it like that. And why? Why would this be a... Who thought that this would be a good change to a vehicle that is already having troubles finding its own role, finding its own niche in the game that makes it worth getting, to essentially eradicate that completely by just making it a miserable version of the Leopard? Like, the hell? Who thought of this? Who the hell thought of this? Okay, yep. Best thing I can do now is basically just wait for death. Got no armor. I don't have the alpha damage. And I have a mad Jaeger. Dead. Can try to get rid of the Foch here. Now, you can play it well, obviously. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's unplayable now. That's not the case. If you're a good player, you can still make it work. I'm talking about, why would you get this tank when it literally is a disadvantage compared to everything else at tier 10 that isn't called MX-30B? There is no reason to get it. And that's the point. Stay away from it. Don't bother. Get the 6... If you want a tank like this, get the 628. That thing is still fine. But this is a absolute and utter disappointment.